Hello, StudioJake fans. This is your host, Jacob Airy. Be sure to like and share this video because I've got a very special guest. I had her on once before, but our microphones malfunctioned and it sounded like we were going through a tunnel. So I unlisted that interview, but I've got singer, songwriter Kaya Jones, former Pussycat doll, and just an all-around amazing person. I've actually gotten to meet her in person, and she's just as lovely in person as she is on the phones. Kaya, welcome to StudioJake.
Thank you so much. That was really sweet of you to say.
So we're in the middle of the Winter Olympics,
Uh-huh.
and they're happening in South Korea. We've got the vice president there, but it seems like the mainstream media isn't interested in the fact that our vice president is visiting or that the competitions doing are going well for the American teams. It seems like they're more interested in praising Kim Jong Un, who is, of course, this brutal dictator.
Hmm.
Um, why do you think that is? Why are they trying to glamorize him? I don't understand.
Because they so hate our president and so hate this administration that they're willing to embrace monsters at this point in time. I think it's kind of insane. When you hate something so much, or you're mad that you didn't win so much that you're willing to throw out all of your moral compass to side with a country that has really impacted its people in a negative light, where they're starving and not doing okay, where you have people fleeing the country, and where we had a school guy that was traveling and learning and educating himself ends up being arrested for taking a poster, and subsequently dies coming back home to his family. I mean, this is where you have to say, like, are you guys drinking the Kool-Aid? Because this is not normal to hate your own government this much that you're siding with someone that's a killer.
And I noticed that one picture in particular that was going around was Vice President Pence. He was there, and kind of seated like above him was Kim Jong Un's sister, I believe, and she's giving him the stink eye. And I'm looking at this, and Daily Wire, who I write for, we're of course reporting it like, oh, this Kim Jong Un, this dictator's sister, she's giving Vice President Pence the stink eye. But again, the media is reporting it like, oh, she's so brave standing up for Pence. It's like they do realize Pence is the vice president, right? And it's I don't under again. It's this glorification
Yeah.
of even a family of a dictator. And
Uh-huh.
has she done anything to denounce her brother's regime?
No, not that I'm aware of. I mean, I think it's kind of sick that, again, that's the most important fact, and what they're reporting is, again, false narrative and dramatized stories to glorify a situation that's pretty gross in my book. I mean, report the facts, focus on the positives, which is we have incredible athletes that are performing, and our vice president is focused on supporting our team and Team USA, and instead of oh my gosh, let's talk about Korea, which is not our country and not our issues. And if they have continuous issues and want to constantly threaten the rest of the world, why are you supporting that?
Yeah, and I'm kind of like, if you want to talk about, if you want to do the liberal bias thing or the leftist bias
Right.
thing, and you want to, then talk about South Korea. Because they're at least freedom
Yeah.
loving. They're our allies. I mean, if you don't want to praise Pence,
And we know why they're freedom, right?
right?
Like people
Because
are
of
aware
us.
that it was that it was the US that helped them out. I mean, but hey, that doesn't count. You
it it really makes no sense to me. And even when, because I even remember when we had the Winter Olympics in Russia, even though the Obama administration, was in full swing at the time, there still wasn't this, oh, we're going to glorify Russia. It seemed like it was still a little bit more even kill in the coverage. So
Yeah.
why all of a sudden are they
'Cause
are they
they
deciding
hate
that it's just
they
because of
really
Trump?
hate Trump. They hate Trump, and they hate anything at this point that's coming from the Republican side of the fence. But I think they need to take an accounting of proof is in the numbers, right? Or proof is in the pudding, where you can
Right.
see actual shifts and change. Like when we have the lowest amount of African Americans and Hispanic community in unemployment, that's a great thing. When we have constant cities that are filled, being run by Democratic leaders, and their cities have the highest rate in unemployment, the highest rate of homeless, that's a problem. Like we need to actually be aware of like what the numbers are. So when you're going out and you're voting and you think you're voting on the right side, look at the numbers and figure it out yourself. Like numbers don't lie, and I'm sorry, but you can say that the Republican Party is all of these things that you're being force fed, or just take a look at the numbers. Like stop buying into the narrative that's being fed to you. Like look into it. It's there. Like it's called educate yourself. Like it's your choice and how you want to vote. And this feeling based of like, well, they're telling me this is what it is. Again, it's like facts are facts and feelings are feelings. But once you have facts, I can assure you it'll shift your feelings. Like, so.
Well, it's like my boss always says, facts don't care about your feelings. So.
No.
And one thing I'm concerned about is because I remember growing up, my family always watched the Olympics. It was always something we would at least turn on the main events, right? But I'm kind of concerned that with the media playing this game of favorites with a dictator, I'm worried that people are going to just turn off the Olympics like they did the NFL. Of course, the NFL, it was a little bit more personal.
I think they already have started doing that. I mean, we've seen a decline in a lot of things. If you don't start showing people what they want to see, which is, look, report the news, give us the information, let us make assessments for ourselves. We're adults. That's the job of media, is to show us what's going on. Like, I think we all watched and were so invested in things because it wasn't even that much commentary over it. We actually got to enjoy it, watch it, connect with it. Now it's like, let's talk about every single thing before they do it and not allow us to watch the performance. It's like part of the amazing part of the Olympics is watching these athletes perform at such a advanced level of skill. And so let's watch that. Let's embrace it. Let's support our country and see it take home some silver, gold, and bronze medals. I mean, that's what the focus should be on. It really should, again, not be on, what our president ate for lunch, that they think he's colluding with Russia, though there's no evidence yet. They're still talking about it a year later. I mean, we've got to move on at some point. If you have, if the glove doesn't fit, you must acquit. I mean, that was only after it was drenched in blood, and we still think that this man is guilty at what he did. I mean, at what point are you guys going to give up on something that there's no proof? And there's none.
And they keep hammering on this thing. Like for me personally, like I remember when it was such a big deal that Trump drank Diet Cokes and ate at McDonald's and KFC's. Hey, I eat at McDonald's and KFC. If I'm in a pinch and I want something to eat, that's where I chow.
There's nothing wrong with it. Like,
exactly.
I think they just. If it was Obama, it would be like, oh my God, he's the cool president.
Right.
But because it's Trump, it's, he's unhealthy. It's like, he's still running the show. Get over it. Moving on.
Do you think there ever comes a point in Trump's presidency where, I don't think bias will ever go away, but where the hysteria will ever die down?
I think once the reality has come forward, and each time he does a speech and each time people can see what he does, I think he gets more respect, and each time people do the digging on their own. I mean, when you're seeing the Kardashians running around looking at Skid Row, it's starting to affect the mass media. No, true, because they're now starting to go, we have to talk about politics, even in these reality shows, or we have to pay attention to the issues that people are complaining about on our Twitter feed. And when you have people that now can look at something and go objectively, whoa, what's going on in our city of Los Angeles? What's going on in the city of New York? You start to open your eyes and maybe understand what Trump is screaming about, and what Americans are screaming about is we have issues. We have high levels of unemployment. We have high levels of homeless. We have veterans that are on the street that are not, being taken care of at the VA, and 22 to 50 suicides per day. This is serious issues that is going on currently in our country. And if we don't address them, we're just pushing it under a rug, and no one's going to take care of it. So I know that everyone has their view on who's important and how much is important, but we do have real issues that are affecting American families every single day, including the pipes and flints, and including
Right.
water that's being affected, and including, like, there's just so much. We can keep going. There's a list of problems. But, let's talk about DACA and illegals for 8 hours. Let's not talk about the homeless population that is, literally a man-made travesty in the city of Los Angeles.
And one thing I do appreciate is that Trump has done is it's allowed conservative, or at least center right, celebrities like yourself and Joy Vila and James Woods and Dean Cain and so on to be able to come out and speak out. But it's been a slow rolling process, and the Hollywood blacklist is real. It's really a thing. You definitely saw it at the last Oscars when they brought Stacey Dash out, and I'm curious to know what you think about this. I asked a previous guest this, but I'd like to get your thoughts on it, especially since you're more in this world. Do you think we'll see more celebrities who are center right, conservative, libertarian? Do you think we'll see more of them start to open out? Because I hear there's a lot of closeted ones, but they're afraid of losing their careers. Do you think?
Yeah.
Do you think this Trump effect will help them be able to step out?
100%. 100%. I think every day they're getting stronger, because there's a point where you can't hide anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You just can't deal with the lies anymore. You just don't want to silence yourself anymore, and you shouldn't silence yourself. You should not be living in a bubble of a false self in order to appease people that don't like you anyway. They're not going to like you when you speak. They don't like you now because they know you don't speak on the issue, and by the way, that gives it away.
Right.
So at least stand up for what you are and what you believe in, because then if people hate you, at least it's authentic hate.
Right.
At least it's actually for a reason. But when you don't say who you're voting for and you don't comment on things that they're pushing, they already know.
Yeah, absolutely.
They just don't want to believe it. But I think until we start taking responsibility for our beliefs, for our opinions, which is what this country is founded on, is freedoms, you're stifling and oppressing yourself only to allow hatred to penetrate further and further and further until they realize that they are not the majority voice. The majority voice voted a new wave into government. It wasn't just a Republican side. It wasn't just an independent side or a centrist or a libertarian side. It was a side of pro-America,
right.
pro-Americans, pro-get this situation on the right track. It's not about your parties anymore. And when you start to see that parties are splitting and people are deviating from what they solely believed in, it's a movement. And I think it's a cultural movement that's really exciting to be a part of and be alive at this time, because I think we can fix a lot of problems that we have, but we're looking at it so like the glass is half full because we're being fed that every single day, instead of like, can we start to focus on the things that are being achieved, because this is what it's for? Are we always going to go, no, this is not good enough, it's not good enough, nothing's ever good enough? At what point are we going to give credit where credit's due?
Right, absolutely. Now, I got one final question for you. So,
yes,
you had an amazing single, What the Heart Don't Know, and you have a very prolific musical career. I'm wondering, are there going to be any new projects coming up? I know you're active in other entrepreneurial things, but I'm just curious, what's up next for the creative side of Kaya Jones?
The creative side of me. Well, thank you. What the Heart Don't Know did really well last year. I'm really proud of just the support the fans have given it. It was really wonderful, and I'm working hard on new materials. I'm working with Jada Marcus from Rascal Flatts, and Billy Corrigan is going to be writing some stuff, and Jason Crabb, I did a song on his record. He's going to be doing something on my record. So I'm in and out of Nashville and focusing on music and building a couple really cool brands that are all pro empowerment and also pro 2A.
Nice.
And also pro veteran. So, my biggest thing, of course, is abuse, human trafficking, women empowerment, getting out of situations that have been abusive for women and young boys in this industry, and also focusing on our veterans. Those are my two big focuses. Education reform is another one, but those are the two I stick with. Always supporting our veterans and our military. So I'll be continuously doing that, continuously supporting our country and our POTUS and the administration, because we have more elections coming up this year, and we're going into 2020. We need to go strong into 2020 and really show what's going on in America. So my focus is educating as many as possible through my voice, whether it's singing or speaking.
Amazing. And where can people find you?
They can find me at kayajones.com, or they can go to at KAYA Jones at Twitter, Kaya's Music, KAYAS Music at Facebook, or KAYA Jones on Instagram. But if you go to my .com, you'll find all of that stuff there.
Well, Kaya, thank you so much for being on today.
Thank you for having me.
And of course, you can follow me on Twitter at RealJacobAiry, and you can find my blog, www.jacobairy.blog. And of course, be sure to like and subscribe here on Studio Jake. Ring that little bell so you get notifications. And we have more amazing guests coming up, but just like Kaya, though probably not quite as good with the pipes as Kaya is. We'll see you next time right here on Studio Jake.